All right, so you sent us this lecture all about building customer loyalty programs, and wow, it's a jungle out there right now, right? Keeping customers happy. That's like the name of the game.
Yeah, and it's interesting, businesses are finally kind of shifting away from just chasing after new customers all the time. And instead, they're thinking about how do we actually, really cultivate the ones we've already got.
It's like that saying, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Like, you got to take care of what you've got.
Exactly.
And this lecture, it doesn't waste any time getting to the point, like, why are these programs so important these days? And the numbers, they're kind of mind-blowing.
Absolutely, yeah. There was this research by Bain and Company, and they basically found that if a business can increase its customer retention by just a tiny 5%,
Just 5%.
just 5%, it can boost profits by something like 25 to 95%.
95. Okay, you have me at 25, but 95, that's insane. Just imagine, like, if you could turn even a small chunk of your customer base into those loyal regulars, that's got to be a game changer for any business.
Totally. And it all comes back to this idea of customer lifetime value, CLV. It's not just about that one purchase.
It's the long game.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like how much value does a customer bring to your business over, the entire relationship?
Yeah, so not just the coffee they buy today, but like, will they be back next week for another? And the week after that?
Yeah. And then maybe they start buying the pastries, the sandwiches, you know.
They become a regular.
Exactly. Loyal customers, they just tend to spend more over time. They get to know you, they trust you, they're more likely to try new things.
And don't forget, those loyal customers, they become like your biggest fans out there.
Totally.
They tell their friends, they write good reviews.
Word of mouth is powerful, and this is what I find so cool. Loyalty programs actually encourage that behavior.
Yeah, they do. They give people a reason to stick around, to keep coming back.
It's like that little extra nudge, like, hey, we appreciate you, here's a little something.
Exactly. Yeah, you feel valued, like you're part of the club.
And as they do that, as they keep coming back, they're generating all this valuable data.
Mm.
Their buying habits, what they like, what they don't like, and businesses, they need that information.
Data is king, right. But I'm curious, how does all that data actually translate into a better experience for the customer? Because at the end of the day, that's what we really care about, right?
That's the million-dollar question. And that's where it gets really interesting. So with all this data, businesses can really fine-tune their marketing. Like imagine getting personalized offers instead of just those generic ones everyone gets, or even product suggestions that are actually relevant to you.
It's all about making it personal, right? Like you're not just a number, you're a valued customer.
Exactly. And now think about how much we're all connected these days, always on our phones, checking apps, browsing online. That experience has to be seamless.
The lecture called it an omni-channel experience. It's got to be consistent no matter where you are.
Exactly. You shop online, then you go into the store, then maybe later you're browsing on your phone.
Yeah.
The loyalty program, it has to work across all of them.
Totally. No one wants to be stuck trying to figure out how to use their points or whatever. It's got to be easy.
Exactly.
Mm.
And speaking of different types of programs, we talked about the classic points system, but there are so many other ways to reward loyalty these days. Like tiered programs have become super popular.
Oh, yeah, those are fun. It's like leveling up in a game. You always want to reach that next tier, get those better rewards.
Right. Like think about airline loyalty programs. Those are a great example. As you move up, you get perks like lounge access, priority boarding.
Free upgrades. Don't forget the upgrades.
Exactly. And it's not just about the points. It's about the whole experience feeling valued.
For sure, those perks make a huge difference, especially if you travel a lot.
Absolutely. And then you've got things like cash back programs, which are great for people who are, watching their budget, or subscription models like everyone's favorite Amazon Prime.
Oh, Amazon Prime, that's like the gold standard. Free shipping, streaming, exclusive deals. They've definitely figured something out.
They have. It shows how a loyalty program can create this whole ecosystem of value that keeps people coming back for more. And speaking of value, there were some pretty interesting stats in this lecture about the impact of customer loyalty.
Oh, yeah, the numbers were pretty eye-opening, like that one from Harvard Business Review about how much more expensive it is to get a new customer versus keeping an existing one.
5 to 25 times more expensive. That's huge.
It's insane. It just shows you how important it is to really invest in those customer relationships you already have.
Totally. And then on top of that, Bain and Company found that loyal customers spend, on average, 67% more than new customers.
67%. I mean, it makes sense if you think about it. The more familiar someone is with your brand, the more likely they are to buy more from you.
Exactly. Plus, they're more likely to try new products, become advocates for your brand, telling their friends and family about you. It's like a domino effect.
Word of mouth marketing, the best kind. And it all comes back to making those customers feel valued, like you were saying before. Speaking of which, the lecture touched on the importance of personalization, which is huge these days.
Huge. Epsilon, they found that 80% of consumers are more likely to buy when brands personalize the experience.
80%.
Yeah.
That's a no-brainer right there. Everyone wants to feel special, like they're more than just a transaction. But, with all this talk about data, we have to address the elephant in the room, data privacy. People are more aware than ever of how their information is being used.
Oh, absolutely. And the lecture definitely acknowledges that the growing concern around data privacy, it emphasizes how important transparency and security are when it comes to handling customer information.
Transparency is key, right? Customers need to know that their data is being handled responsibly.
Exactly. Be upfront about what you're collecting, how you're using it, and most importantly, make sure it's secure.
No data breaches. Nobody
Yeah.
wants that.
Exactly. So yeah, it's a delicate balance, but businesses need to be really mindful of the responsibility they have when it comes to customer data.
For sure. Now, we've been talking about all the great things about loyalty programs, but the lecture also mentions some potential pitfalls to watch out for.
It wouldn't be a deep dive without looking at both sides.
Exactly. So let's get into it. What are some of the things businesses should be careful to avoid? Okay, so what are some of the downsides to these loyalty programs? What do businesses need to avoid?
Well, one thing is the rewards have to actually be, rewarding.
Yeah.
Like if it takes forever to earn enough points for a discount and then the discount is like 5%, come on.
Yeah, people are going to be like, what's the point?
Exactly. And it has to feel worth it. And another thing is don't just rely on discounts all the time.
I can see how that would get old. Like if everything's always on sale, it's like, well, what's the real price?
Exactly. And it can actually hurt your brand in the long run.
Interesting. So what's the alternative?
Get creative. Instead of just discounts, think about experiences, something unique,
Right.
or personalized offers that really make people feel special.
Okay, so it's not just about saving money, it's about that extra something.
Exactly. It's about building a relationship, making people feel like they're part of something exclusive.
That makes sense. So we've covered a lot of ground here. What are your final thoughts on all of this? What should our listeners really take away from this deep dive, especially in today's crazy business world?
Well, one thing that's crystal clear is that customer loyalty programs, they're not just a nice extra anymore, they're essential. Like if you want to stay competitive, you need a solid program.
It's like your secret weapon in the fight for customers.
Yeah, exactly. And if I had to pick one key takeaway from the lecture, it would be this focus on building real relationships.
Okay, so it's not just about transactions, it's about connection.
Exactly. Treat your customers like people, show them you value their business, their loyalty. That goes a long way.
It's the human touch. That's what makes the difference.
Absolutely. And, the lecture focused a lot on what businesses can do, but it made me think, as consumers, we have a choice too.
Interesting. So how can we be more mindful about the brands we support with our loyalty?
Well, we can choose to support businesses that align with our values, right? Like if a company's doing good things, if they treat their customers well, then we can reward them with our loyalty.
It's about voting with our wallets, in a way.
Exactly. And by doing that, we can actually help shape a better business landscape, one that's more focused on customers and values.
Wow, so it's like a win-win. Businesses benefit from loyal customers, and customers get to support businesses that they believe in.
Exactly.
I love it. Well, on that note, I think we've covered it all.
Sounds good to me.
To all our listeners out there, thanks for joining us for another deep dive. Remember, loyalty is a two-way street. Businesses, step up your game. Customers, choose wisely. Until next time, keep those minds sharp.